Imagine you finally have money in the account. Not a lot, but enough. And instead of relief, you feel this strange, low-grade dread, like waiting for something to go wrong, like the money isn't really yours yet. That feeling has a name, it has a mechanism, and it is not a character flaw. The standard story goes like this. People who grow up in poverty struggle to build wealth because they never develop the right financial habits. They spend impulsively. They can't delay gratification. They make short-term decisions that cost them long-term stability. The prescription follows naturally. Learn to budget, learn to save, learn to think like someone who has money. The assumption underneath all of this is that the problem is behavioral, that if you change the choices, you change the outcome. And to be fair, that framework is not entirely wrong. Habits matter. Financial literacy matters. Access to tools and accounts matters. There is real evidence that practical knowledge improves outcomes. Nobody serious is dismissing that. But that story, the habit story, the discipline story, treats the brain as a neutral processor that just needs better inputs. It assumes that someone who grew up in scarcity is working with the same neural architecture as someone who grew up in stability, just with worse software installed. That assumption deserves a harder look, because the evidence now suggests that growing up in poverty does not just shape your habits, it shapes the organ doing the thinking. That assumption deserves a harder look, because the evidence now suggests that growing up in poverty does not just shape your habits, it shapes the organ doing the thinking. Here is where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. When researchers started looking at neural reward processing in people from low-income backgrounds, they expected to find something like blunted sensitivity. The hypothesis was intuitive. Chronic scarcity numbs the reward system, making it harder to feel motivated by future gain. What they actually found was the opposite. Recent research found that low socioeconomic status was associated with a greater neural response to both rewards and losses, not a smaller one. The brain wasn't checking out. It was more reactive, more alert, tuned higher. Think about what that means for a moment. The financial behavior we often label as impulsive or undisciplined, spending the money when you have it, not sitting comfortably with savings, feeling uneasy when things look stable, may not be a failure of willpower. It may be a brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. In an environment where resources disappear without warning, where calm is often the quiet before something bad, a nervous system that stays alert to both gain and loss is not malfunctioning, it is optimized. The problem is that optimization doesn't transfer well. The neural settings that kept you safe in one environment can actively work against you in another. A cracked pavement transitioning into polished office floor. This is the gap that the habits framework misses entirely. You can teach someone every rule of personal finance, but if their brain is running a threat detection protocol every time money appears, the knowledge and the nervous system are working against each other. That is not a motivation problem. That is a mismatch between the environment the brain was built for and the environment it's now operating in. Let's look at the actual research, because the details matter here. A 2022 study measured neural reward responses, specifically brain activity in response to winning and losing money in a controlled task. Participants from lower socioeconomic backgrounds showed heightened reactivity in regions associated with both reward anticipation and loss processing. More signal, not less, in both directions. Now, one important caveat. The reward being measured was a lab-constructed task. Winning a few dollars in a scanner is not the same as the felt experience of financial stability or instability in real life. The researchers were measuring a proxy, not the thing itself. That distinction matters when we interpret the results, but it is still a meaningful signal about how the brain has calibrated its sensitivity. Separate research looking at adolescents from low-income backgrounds found similar patterns, heightened neural responsiveness to both gain and loss scenarios. What's notable is that this wasn't just about reward. The loss signal was equally amplified. The brain wasn't just more hungry for reward. It was more sensitive to the possibility of losing what it had. A teenager sitting alone. Abstract EEG wave overlay. Contemplative tone. A 2020 study reinforced this, finding that neural mechanisms of reward and loss processing looked meaningfully different in low-income adolescents compared to those from more stable economic backgrounds. This is not a single anomalous finding. There is a converging pattern across multiple studies and age groups. The structural picture adds another layer. Research examining brain structure found that children living in high-poverty neighborhoods showed differences in prefrontal and hippocampal volumes. A 2020 study specifically linked neighborhood poverty to reduced cognitive function and differences in those regions, areas central to impulse regulation, planning, and emotional memory. A broader review of the field found that poverty-related stress during development affects multiple neural systems simultaneously, not just reward, but language, executive function, and stress regulation. These are not small, peripheral findings. These are foundational systems. And research with children in conditions of severe socioeconomic deprivation found measurable differences in neuropsychological functioning, attention, memory, executive control, compared to children raised in more stable conditions. What the evidence does not prove, it does not prove that these differences are permanent. The brain retains plasticity, nor does it prove that neural differences fully determine financial outcomes. Economic systems, structural barriers, and access to opportunity are doing enormous independent work here. Plant growing through a crack in concrete, and the neuroscience explains a mechanism. It does not explain everything. So what does this actually mean for you? Not as a prescription, as a reframe. If you grew up without financial stability and you find that having money makes you anxious, not relieved, that is not irrational. Your nervous system learned, across thousands of small experiences, that calm was temporary, that resources had a way of disappearing. The anxiety is information from a very well-trained system, the impulsive spending when money arrives, the difficulty holding savings without feeling like you're tempting fate, the strange guilt that comes with financial progress. These are not signs that you are bad with money. They are signs that your brain is doing something coherent with its history. There is a lens from linguistics worth pausing on here. The language we use about money is not neutral. I can't save, and I haven't yet built the conditions where saving feels safe to my nervous system are not the same sentence. One is a verdict, the other is a description of a process. And from a different angle, Buddhist psychology has a concept called upadana, which translates roughly as clinging or attachment. We sometimes cling to a financial identity, I am someone who struggles with money, long after the original conditions that shaped that identity have passed. The label outlives the reality. These two ideas together suggest something. The story you run about yourself and money may be more outdated than you think. Not wrong for when it was formed, just no longer current. Here's the tension I keep returning to, and I don't have a clean resolution for it. The research shows that the brain adapts to its environment in profound, measurable ways. That adaptation was not a mistake, it was intelligence responding to real conditions. But those same adaptations can become invisible constraints in a different environment. And the uncomfortable question is, how do you update a nervous system that learned its lessons so well? Cognitive reframing helps. Therapy helps. Gradual exposure to financial safety helps. But the honest answer is that we don't fully understand the timeline or the mechanism of that change at the neural level. The science tells us the problem is real, and that it runs deeper than habits. It is quieter on what to do about it. That feels like the right place to sit with this for a while. The research behind this video draws from Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience, Psychology Research and Behavior Management, the Journal of Adolescent Health, official publication of the Society for Adolescent Medicine, Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience, Cerebral Cortex, New York, New York, 1991, JAMA Network Open, Pediatrics, Child Neuropsychology, a journal on normal and abnormal development in childhood and adolescence. Every claim traces to a published source. Full citations are in the description below. If the way this channel thinks about neuroscience resonates with you, subscribing helps this work reach people who'd appreciate it. New videos on the science of mind every week.